next fight up, we're talking about Khalil Rountree, and he's taking on Chris Daukaus. Is that really the co-main event in this spot? Did I miss a fight? I did. All right. I'm glad I checked because I didn't have the next one queued up for us and ready to go. All right. Brady having some camera troubles. He will be right back in just a second, everybody. So I will go ahead and start this breakdown off. Mushroom in the chat already starting us off with Khalil Rountree KO. Now, the big storyline in this fight is Chris Daukaus dropping from heavyweight down to 205, right? Daukaus is on an 0-3 skid, and he's switching from heavyweight to 205. He was a very fast heavyweight. Speed was his greatest edge up against those big boys. And he's pulling a Tanner Boser and dropping down a weight class. Now, for me personally, I think that's a good thing. I mean, Daukaus, I have always said, is a smaller man masquerading up at heavyweight. He never had the frame for heavyweight. He was too big, too flabby. Too small. And he had all that extra size on him. He had all that extra flab, all that extra weight, not muscle. He does not have the frame of a 265-pound fighter in the UFC, but he does have a UFC caliber skill set. His boxing is fantastic. I mean, his accuracy with his punches is crazy, and he's fast, man. This guy, Daukaus, has speed for days. But you can't get countered by heavyweights. Like, if you're not a heavyweight, if you don't have that frame and you're up there punching with, mind you, not just heavyweights, but some of the biggest power punchers we've ever seen, Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Derek Lewis, like, yeah, that's not going to end well for you, man. So I see a lot of people go into the he's chinny narrative. And while I agree with you, he's got a suspect chin. The Daukaus brothers as a duo are maybe not the most durable fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. And if you're even slightly questionable with your durability and you're punching with guys like Lewis and Rozenstruik, you're dead. You're just a dead man walking. The Derek Lewis spot, folks, that was the first y'all must have forgot Derek Lewis bet that I made. Nobody seems to remember that Daukaus opened up as a dog against Derek Lewis, and you gamblers out there flipped that line. You guys had me getting plus money on my guy Derek Lewis against the chin of Chris Daukaus. I couldn't believe that happened. I was on vacation with my family and watching live updates on my phone because I didn't have internet to stream it, and then freaked out in the middle of a park. Everyone looking at me like I'm a wackadoo because I cashed a massive bet on Derek Lewis by round one knockout in that spot. But I think Daukaus is more fit for 205. I think he's always been more fit for 205. He's a BJJ black belt. We talked about the boxing. He's going to be 2 inches taller in this spot, and he's taking on Khalil Rountree. And Khalil comes down to two things here for me. Good Khalil or bad Khalil? Those are the two things you got to ask yourself. Which one are you getting, Brady? Because if he shows up sharp, focused, ready to go, he's a murderer. He comes out and hurts people in the first round. He looks like he enjoys doing it too. But if you get the Rountree that's, he's a little more nail than he is hammer. He had a rough day. He had a rough weight cut. Somebody said something mean to him. He just doesn't have that same killer instinct. So I have a hard time with this one. I have a hard time with part of it. Let me correct myself. I have a hard time getting to Khalil Rountree being this big of a favorite over a guy like Chris Daukaus. He's another 2-1 favorite that I just can't get behind. I already bet plus 175 on Daukaus, folks. This thing should be way closer to even money. Everybody and their mother is just piling in Brady on Rountree by KO. Rountree, round one. You know what happened the last time that happened, Brady?
Yes.
Rountree lost a decision to Marcin Prachniow. So let's take the chinniest fighter in the 205-pound division and let everybody bet on round one knockout on Khalil Rountree. And what happens? He drops the damn ball. This guy is not the round one murderer that all of you seem to think he is. And this 3-fight win streak, Brady, let me just poke holes in every single one of them. Modestas Daukaus, he hits that sexy side kick to the knee. Modestas is barely UFC caliber to begin with. I like the guy. I've made money betting on him in certain spots. He's nothing to write home about. And that side kick destroyed this man's leg. Who knows how that fight goes if it continues, but that's kind of a fluky situation, a freak accident, not a real TKO. Carl Roberson, he's since been let go from the UFC. He's a bad striker who was a primary grappler, and got knocked out by Khalil Rountree because he offered nothing and Khalil felt no fear and bullied this man into a corner. I'm not overly impressed with that finish either. And then he was gifted, Brady, just absolutely gifted a disgusting split decision over Dustin Jacoby, which to this day I don't understand. Jacoby outlanded him by what, 50 significant strikes? 50? Like, it wasn't even close. Jacoby should have won a unanimous decision. I don't know how Rountree got that split. And before that, the aforementioned fumbling of the Marcin Prachnio fight. If you can't knock out Marcin Prachnio, I can't trust your power. And he got nuked by Ion Cutelaba before that. He's taking on a heavyweight this week, Brady. A heavyweight that's going to have a speed advantage on him. A heavyweight that's going to have a grappling advantage on him. And oh yeah, let's not forget, Rountree can't defend takedowns to save his life. And on top of that, he doesn't know what to do when he's on the ground. We haven't seen Chris Daukaus really shoot for takedowns at heavyweight. I pray, Brady, I pray he comes out with his singlet on in this spot because he's a BJJ black belt. And if he can get Khalil Rountree down just once, that's going to lighten the power. That's going to lessen the ego. And that's going to put some doubt in Rountree's mind. I think this fight's all Daukaus. I really do. And it looks like some money finally is getting smart and coming in here on the Daukaus side of things. Folks, I know he might be a little scary when it comes to the durability. It's almost the same thing as the JP Buys situation. We try not to bet on fighters who have bad chins, but treating Rountree like a lock at minus 225 is also insanity.